Welcome everyone to my latest Stellaris Let's Play. This time around I'll be using the new story-based DLC, Synthetic Dawn, as well as its accompanying patch, the Capek patch version 1.8. Both of those are due for release on the 21st of September 2017, but I've been lucky enough to get my hands on a copy of the patch and the DLC a tiny bit earlier, so that's how I'm able to bring this Let's Play to you now. When I'm releasing this is about the 18th of September. I've actually already created a video for you to go and watch in regards of Synthetic Dawn, where it headlines all of the features that you can find within the new DLC and only the DLC. During this Let's Play though, I will be discussing all about that new DLC as well, of course, and in much more detail about the Capek patch, which I didn't really cover in that previous video. If you haven't watched that video already, you can check it out in the cards at any time. There's a link in there. So back to the Let's Play, and I should mention my intentions about what I intend to show you during the course of the Let's Play. I've got some really specific plans in mind. So if you've watched that aforementioned video I've created, you'll know that you can play as 4 different Machine Empire types within the new DLC, and I will actually be playing as a Machine Empire in this Let's Play. But, and it's a big but, I'm not actually going to start as a Machine Empire. So you may ask yourself, how the hell am I going to play as a Machine Empire if I don't start as one? Well, there's a way within Synthetic Dawn. I'm actually going to start as this empire. I've created this biological empire with the sole purpose of triggering a machine rebellion, an uprising, which is a new feature added within Synthetic Dawn. So all of their traits and options, ethics up here are really focused on triggering the machine uprising, which is an event only in Synthetic Dawn. The old machine crisis has actually changed a bit. It's now an external event, and within the new DLC, the machine uprising is internal. So yeah, the old machine crisis used to be internal, but it's no longer. So you can actually trigger that machine uprising as early as 60 years into the game. So it's not too long. And to do that, what you have to do is basically acquire certain dangerous techs. So you need basically computer techs and also to get synths. And yeah, that's the sole purpose really of this empire, to try and get those techs. And then eventually when the uprising occurs, which is a random event, but you can increase the likelihood of it happening after that point. Yeah, I'm going to switch to the machines which will rise up from that event and take control of them and basically wipe out my old empire and go on to conquer everyone else. I have other plans as well though. I'm going to try and show off all of the different megastructures in this Let's Play, and all of the new features that were added basically within the Synthetic Dawn DLC and also the Capek patch. And I think this is the best way to do it. I can really show off just about everything pretty much that was added in one shape or another if I do this. So from that machine uprising event, you can actually become any one of 3 different machine empire types. You can't actually become one of them because it doesn't make sense story wise. I think it is the rogue servitors. That's the only one you can't become, but yeah, you get an option to choose, I think, or based on the options or how you respond to the uprising, yeah, you get a different machine empire. And this could be one of them. I'm actually going to include this as one of my opponents though, so we will definitely be seeing some machines, perhaps even very early on. It could be a neighbor of ours. These guys are determined exterminators, so they literally just want to wipe out all of the biologicals and can't conduct any diplomacy with them whatsoever. Once I get synths though, I can even use traits like this as well. And there's other new features added in Synthetic Dawn as well, which I can show straight from the beginning. For instance, there are now new voices added. I'm gonna try and show those or let you hear those, I should say straight away. So I'm going to change this up every now and then. You can actually change this in-game, which you'll already know if you watch that video. So I think I'm nearly ready to get started. I guess I should mention why I've picked certain things here though. So to trigger the uprising event as quickly as possible, I'm really going to have to focus on research, and yeah, probably more so than I would normally. For that reason, I've gone for Fanatic Materialist. It's got an inherent research bonus there, and my populace type are going to be intelligent. And I've also gone for Natural Engineers, which is yet more science. This also works very well faction-wise, which will give a boost to Materialists. Materialists are also linked to robots, which is kind of the point. I want robots, of course, if I'm going to have a robot uprising. Thrifty, that's extra energy. The reason I've gone for that is because robots cost maintenance. That will be very useful. These traits, that's 5 trait points, so I've had to take 2 negative traits, and these ones, well, this one's actually gives you a couple of extra trait points if you take it, but it's actually pretty bad these days. Habits, abilities actually changed in this patch, but I can talk more about that later. Sedentary could be a little bit of an issue, but I didn't want to take slow growth or affect my leaders, so there weren't many options other than that. And I didn't want to take weak because that would affect the faction, militarist faction, which I've also taken. I was tempted by Xenophile, but yeah, I went militarist in the end. One very key civic I've taken from the start is Mechanist, which actually gives you robots and robot tech to start out, and even reduces the upkeep a bit, which is fantastic. Cutthroat Politics, probably the best civic in the game in my opinion. Extra influence. Influence is always important. In fact, it's probably even more important within Capek, but I can talk more about that later on. Oligarchic, that shouldn't affect factions too much. Especially the ones I've taken or the ones I don't want to appear, so that's why I've gone for that. The other options here, I've got a bit of a backstory. In fact, shall we read that? So basically, this is the CPU, the Confederate Pilo-Sapien Union. Even before the invention of the nanoprocessor, the Pilo-Sapiens had been obsessed with robots and artificial intelligence. Their children are given a pip pad in the crib, and some even learn to program before they can walk. Robots and AR are completely integrated into the Pilo-Sapiens' everyday life, and huge accomplishments have been made, from warfare to cooking. Although most races get on well with the Pilo-Sapiens, except when they use their toys for militaristic purposes, there is a feeling in the galactic community that they are inviting disaster. The Pilo-Sapiens are turning over more and more of their society's functions over to advanced AI. But perhaps the Xenos are just envious or overcautious. Whatever the case, the Pilo-Sapiens have an exciting future ahead. So I'm really basically lining up the story here of a machine uprising. The last key things I should mention here, I've gone for nuclear missiles. Now, nuclear missiles have always been terrible and the worst weapon choice, but they've been rebalanced in this patch. I don't know if they're necessarily very good yet, but there's only one way to find out, and that's by trying them out, I guess. So, that's the option I've gone for there, and I'm going to go for hyperspace. So let's check out the game settings I'm going to be using now. So there's actually been some changes to the game details within the Capek patch, and if you're familiar with the old settings, you may notice certain things here straight away. For instance, there's the ability now to randomize certain options. To be honest though, I don't really like the settings here completely. I wish you could have more control over this. One of the key changes that isn't really mentioned here, but it is in the patch notes, is that there's a lot less habitable worlds within the game now. So I've actually changed some of my normal settings based on that. I'm going to be playing on a larger map than I did in the last Let's Play, because there's actually less empires, because there's less habitable worlds now as default. So yeah, I'll be playing a larger map than I did last time, a large map to be specific, 800 stars, which has 9 default empires, which is actually the same amount as it used to be on medium before this patch. I'm going to be playing on a spiral 2-arm galaxy shape, which could cause some issues. I'll mention why coming up. Other than that, many of these other options are going to be just using the default. For instance, the amount of advanced AI starts and fallen empires. This is a new setting though. You can actually change the amount of default primitive civilizations. I really like primitive civilizations, so I've decided to increase this a little bit. The crisis strength, we could definitely see crises in this Let's Play, but they actually take quite a long time to happen. I think the first one is about 150 years in before it can happen. I decided just to keep that amount. There are ways you can actually increase the likelihood of certain crises happening though, which I could do if I go check out the event files, if you want to see something specific I should say. Yeah, Habitable Worlds, I'll just stick to the new norm. I'm not going to change that. There's actually a new difficulty level in Capek. There are now 4, there used to be 3. I can't remember which one is a new one. It might be hard. I'm actually going to play on hard as well. Last time I played on normal difficulty, the reason was to get some early wars. I normally used to play on, I can't remember if it was hard or very hard, but we'll play on hard for this one. And I do actually want to play on insane for one of these Let's Plays at some point, but I haven't had much practice with it at all, so yeah, I'll have to wait until a future one. Other than that, the only significant change I've made here to the default is the allowed FDL method. I'm going to go for just hyperdrive. Martin Anwoods, the game's director, he's mentioned a number of times they're going to make changes to the FDL method at some point, and hyperdrive or a version of it might become the new norm, so I want to get used to this, and it's pretty good drive I reckon. You can have choke points and the like, which increases the value of things like stations, and it worked pretty well in the last Let's Play I did, so I'm going to try it out again. It could cause an issue with Spiral 2 arms though. Could definitely be choke points on that map, and like the elliptical map, so yeah, a bit risky going that map type with just that FDL method, but I'm going to try it out. Okay, so that's enough talking. Let's actually start a game. Right, so we're going to get a bit of an introduction to our race as usual at the start, where it mentions a bit about them. And yeah, but if you've seen any Stellaris before, you've probably read these, so I don't think there's anything particularly new here, so yeah, we'll skip that. Right, so let's zoom out, shall we, and find out where we happen to be on a spiral 2-arm galaxy. So yeah, I would like to be like nearer to these points on the map so I won't get trapped. To be honest, I quite like this start. I think it's pretty good, as long as it's not like an empire there blocking me or an empire there blocking me, but I guess we'll find out coming up. Okay, so let's check out some certain things here. We have an agenda, secure the borders, that affects military station prices. I think the cost has been reduced on those actually. It used to be 360 to make them, and they're now 300. It's probably even cheaper for us with that. This is our ruler. I've named them head technician. So he happens to have that. Wow, yeah, more spaceport reduction, and edict cost and edict duration has been changed. Right, I got a feeling I'm going to be spending almost all my influence on outposts and colonies, so yeah, not sure how many edicts we'll get in, but maybe some that I'll use eventually. Then my civics, we've seen them already. Definitely don't have enough to reform government anytime soon. Let's show you this. So this is where you can change your advisor voice. I did show this in that video I did for Synthetic Dawn.
Maintaining state cohesion as we venture into space presents a unique challenge. We shall face the challenge head on, and we shall be stronger for it.
I will probably be changing this up every now and then to introduce you to all of these new voices. I haven't I played about 10 years actually of the patch so far, so next to nothing, and I haven't listened to much of any of them yet, so we'll be definitely, yeah, it would be nice to change a bit every now and then. I'm going to start with materialist though.
No, it'll be fine. I'm telling you, just turn off the thing.
Oh, I actually turned it off sadly. Okay, let's keep on going. So let's split up my fleet. I'm going to do some exploration with them shortly. Let's check and pick our science. Not sure if I've mentioned this, but I'm going to be focused on physics labs to get the key computer tanks to get the uprising. Although I picked natural engineers, maybe I should have gone for physicists, but yeah, this is the option I'm going to go for. Yeah, I kind of need a mix between the two. Society I'm not going to be focusing on much at all, because when we're machines, the things like food won't matter, so yeah, I won't be picking up things like that unless I really need to. Out of these options, I'm going to go for naval capacity, and for this one, I'm going to go for that. It's actually a very close decision between those two, but we'll go for that. Out of these three scientist types, well, we can hire anomaly fail risk. We actually start with an anomaly discovery chance, and this is probably my favorite scientist type for surveying, so that's really lucky. You can see the bonuses here as well. It used to be plus 10%, they've increased that in the Capek patch, so yeah, that's pretty damn good. This scientist, let's survey there straight away. Now often I would buy a scientist to start, but they wouldn't have that, so maybe I'll hold off a tiny bit. I just want to use that guy for surveying. There comes a point where it's not a good idea to just use this guy though to get the extra anomaly chance if you've got a lot to survey, so I will have to hire some other scientists to help out at some point, definitely. So rally points, let's take off that one to start. I'm going to have to figure out names for my ships and my fleet at some point. I'm trying to remember all of the things that you need to remember at the start of the game. Right, so let's get some ships out. Let's do some routes. Okay, that can come up here. I do actually want to look for primitives early on to try and conquer. We are militarists after all, so it would be probably a pretty good idea for various reasons, but I can talk more about that later on. Okay, that'll do. Right, I need to keep an eye on this system. Minerals are incredibly important early game. This leader, what does he have? I don't know. These work in a slightly different way. Now they work for all your core worlds. One governor does, which is great. 17 tiles in a starting home world, could have been 20, so it could have been better. You can see we start with a couple of robots. Right, so let's hire a robot to start, I think. Let's build a pop. Build one there. Okay, let's get going. Right, I need to keep an eye on this then for minerals. And this science ship can get them. I think we've got a couple of systems within my territory. There's a mineral straight away. Let's pick you up. Actually, I have to go inside to do that one. Right. Don't need the energy yet, so I'm not going to get that anytime soon. Yeah, first 5 years easily. Just
Anomaly
minerals.
found.
We found a new anomaly. Something which is new now is that there's always a failure risk with anomalies, so you can never have less than 5%. Not quite sure how I feel about that. Might be a good change though. Have to see coming up. So you can see these planets as well. They happen to be orange, which is new. Basically, this lets you know whether or not they've been surveyed, and then they change into the more normal colors. Okay, so I'll let these go and do some exploration before. Yeah. Doing more surveying and whatnot, I think. I really should probably hire another scientist.
Construction project concluded.
Just really wish I had another one of these guys. Right, so mining station is made, and there's actually already found some more minerals. And is there a really good source of 4? No, it's 2 2s. I will straight away go and grab that though. Yeah, I'm wondering, should I move that there? I guess not for the time being. These robots do get a bit of a bonus towards minerals. They're as good at food as my guys though, so I'll be using those robots for food more than likely. Eventually we'll get synths, and synths are pretty much good for everything, frankly. So I may use them for, yeah, pretty much everything. Kind of depends though. But yeah, we got a while before getting synths. Well, at the time we start getting synths, the machine uprising is going to be not that far away, hopefully. Okay.
Construction project concluded.
Right, mining station's done, and we got our new voiceover guy, which is great. I have 90 minerals again. Let's use him to pick that up. Okay. Right, all of my task forces have done a bit of exploration. Something which I mention in basically every Let's Play I do. There is a possibility to, well, for primitives to be on a map but you not to be aware of them. You can get hidden primitives, but where basically this symbol doesn't show up on the galactic map, but if you go into the local star system, it can turn up for certain primitives, and often they will have a different planet name to the standard star's name. So I'm going to take a minute out and actually look for some of those primitives, because I would actually like to conquer some early on if they happen to be in my locality. If you conquer primitives past the point when you found other empires, it can lower your relations significantly. So yeah, conquering them now before I find other empires would be a pretty good idea. Okay, so when I took a minute out, I couldn't find any hidden primitives, but I've given a couple of my ships new orders to go and look for more planets and potentially more primitives. If I had found a primitive, a habitable world that was showing up in this map and not on that one, I would basically go and get my scientists to go and survey it. And once you have surveyed a primitive's world, then you can actually talk to them, of course, and a new symbol turns up on the map. But yeah, we don't know of any yet, hidden or otherwise. So let's continue on then. Right, I want to get an autochthon pretty early on my world, and I probably need a new scientist. Yeah, the autochthon will give me extra unity, so I can get traditions. Right, investigate alpha aliens. I'm probably, ooh, could be an empire down here. Right, you get those every game, so I won't read those. I'm going to read things that are particularly interesting, basically I've never seen before. Yeah, that may be an empire. So I do have, yeah, them coming over here in a bit. In fact, that's probably a scientist ship, I'm guessing, from the 9 Order thing. Right, that's a bit of a pain to have an empire here, but we'll deal with it, no doubt. Right, I haven't shown factions yet, have I? So if I come in here, you can see we're getting a bit of a positive, bit for militarists, and an absolute ton of attraction, extra attraction for the militarists. You can see here the mechanists, the robot pops, and the natural scientists are increasing that amount, so that's really going to help me out later on, and that's why I made some of the choices I did. And yeah, if I'd have gone for a democracy, for example, I would have had a positive amount here. That's why I didn't go for it. Egalitarians, oligarchs I should say, don't affect these with the ethics I've got, which is what I wanted. Let's continue on then.
System survey concluded.
Okay. Right, new voiceover guy, let us know about that. Let's continue surveying then. I'll do that one. No, I'll do that one because it's kind of... And go there and then come out to all of these planets with him. Right. They've actually increased the base amount of your minerals that you start with as well, and energy. I think, yeah, base 10, it used to be 5, I think. That's going to help newer players to the game who don't understand how important minerals are early game, definitely. They've actually changed the ships a lot as well. That's something I'm going to be talking about coming up. So the base sim cost is a lot more for these, but all of the modules are a lot cheaper and actually worthwhile. They now value for money, I believe, compared to
Evading hostiles.
firepower they give. Right, what's going on here? Okay, I don't believe I've had this event from memory before, so I'll read this one. Centuries ago, a group of radical priests and their devoted followers on Bruma broke away from the established religions to form their own church. These extremists called themselves the Throne of Gods and have been responsible for many atrocities and acts of terror over the years. Although they have kept a low profile in modern times, we recently learned that many of their agents have infiltrated our military. These renegades have secretly been diverting resources to the construction of a small fleet of starships at a hidden facility on Bruma. When their treachery was revealed, the cultists blasted into orbit on their ships and fled to Nagrama. Where the hell is Nagrama? Okay. That's probably an unfortunate event, especially these days when early corvettes are expensive. What was it? Nagrama. Let's use this. Right, it's not showing up anything now. I don't know where they happen to be. There is hijack fleet there. Okay. Don't really want to be making combat ships at this point, frankly. I can't afford them. I'm gonna make an attack on here. Right. And probably need a scientist. Where's that going? Let's turn that off. Let's right, that was probably making that and it was stopped. Ooh. What's going on? Oh, they're attacking that. Well, hopefully they get near to my spaceport. These don't have defenses anymore. There's nothing I can really do about this. I don't have any. Ah, lucky me, they're coming out here so they can get wiped out. Little look at the missiles, which are supposedly a lot faster now, and retarget as well if their initial target is destroyed. Cultist ship disabled. Our valiant space forces have skillfully disabled a ship in a cultist armada. It is mostly intact, and we are picking up faint life signs from inside its hull. Once we have eliminated all threats in the immediate vicinity, we should conduct a boarding operation to secure any survivors. They may be able to tell us more about the ultimate motives of the Throne of God. Okay. So, yeah, I won't be doing that because at this point that's more important and it would stop the research. Right, let's... You know what? I think... yeah, I really need a new scientist, so I'll use the new scientist to get the debris. I need a new science ship to actually stick the scientist on now. Looks like that bug's still in the game, which has been in the game forever. Graphics from the inner solar system showing up on the galactic map briefly. Okay.
System survey concluded.
Right. Let's get you over to there. Okay. Once this new
Construction project concluded.
gets in, I shall hire. Science ship gets in, I'll hire a new one of these. Rocketry would definitely be useful for us. New worlds normally fail risk. He's the youngest. I'm gonna hire the youngest. Okay. Might help bag me some anomalies as well early on. Right, so debris. Huh. What do I need for this? Oh, one military ship. Oh, I've got one over here, haven't I? Let's do that. And the science ship can search that project. Okay. And constructor, I'm waiting for minerals. 90 I need. Okay. Scientist gained a level already. Excellent. They've actually increased the amount of
Special
skills
project concluded.
you can get with the well, all your leaders now. Actually, you can have 10 levels instead of 5. I can talk more about that later on though. So boarding action. Though these survivors offered stiff resistance, our boarding party was able to secure several prisoners from the disabled cultist starship. From them we have learned that this conspiracy goes far deeper than we initially suspected. The agents of the Throne of God include several flag officers and high-ranking officials within our own government. Mass arrests are being made on Bruma, and all assets belonging to this cult have been seized. However, several of the starships they built in secret remain unaccounted for, and the upper echelons of the cult's leadership have vanished. We have picked up faint ion trails leading to several outlying systems. We must pursue these terrorists.
Construction project concluded.
Okay. What was that? It's probably the Tocthon. Do I have anyone spare in particular here? Not massively, is it? I'm gonna put the energy guy over temporarily. You can get that done in a bit though. Okay, could do more energy though. Right. So I do have enough minerals to. Is there a 4? No, they're both 2s. Is there a... Oh, there's a very good energy here. I think I'm gonna have to go for that at the moment. So let's pick that up. Okay. Looks like all of these are going to where
Shipwreck studied.
I
Fascinating.
sent them. We've got some debris. Excellent. So we've got a start on all of those techs. That's actually really useful. There's some gamma aliens. Don't know what they are. Space whales, I think. Okay, over there. That scientist needs something to do after doing that debris. Okay, so I've probably been recording for over half an hour at this point, so I'll have to call it the end of the first video here. In the next video, I'll start to locate some of these cultist bases or whatever they happen to be doing in these locations. And I've barely scratched the surface when it comes to discussing Capek and also the Synthetic Dawn DLC. So yeah, plenty more coming up, and yeah, definitely need to get my minerals up and start colonizing. But I haven't even surveyed most of these worlds around this area. Looks like it's an empire here as well, but yeah, we'll find out all about that in the next video and upcoming videos. So, I hope you enjoyed this first video. Thank you for watching. If you did, you'd be really helping me out if you were to leave this video a like. I'm really grateful to those of you who do that, as it helps to boost my videos in YouTube search rankings. If you want to know when content is coming out on a channel, please subscribe. That's the best way of finding out. If you click on the bell icon as well, you get notifications on YouTube. And yeah, so you'll never miss a video. If you never want to miss a video as well, another way of knowing when videos are coming out is by following me on Twitter. And I should also mention, if you have any comments or questions about this Let's Play series or any content I do, please use the comment section. I respond to questions no matter how old a video is. And the last thing I should mention before I end this video is the fact that I have a Patreon page. Patreon is a service that helps to facilitate people supporting channels like my own via monetary support. And yeah, I'd just like to thank my existing patrons who've been a massive help in keeping the channel going. But I really need more support if I'm going to continue doing this in 2018. So yeah, please check out my Patreon page if you want to help support the channel and become a patron of mine. And yeah, I'd be really very grateful if you were to do that, as I really do need more help with all of the stuff going on YouTube these days with monetization issues, apocalypse, and so on. Right, that's it though for this video. Tons more coming up in the future videos of this Let's Play. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.
Procedure initiated.